What's going on, guys? Welcome back, and we've got another commander deck today for patron Kevin. Kevin wants black, green, Lathril, Elves, and boy, did we have a lot of fun with this one. So, alright, starting off, per usual, we got our lands. Not going to go through all of them. You guys know the deal now. Pretty much foil, special treatment, retro, etc., full art, all good stuff. But we got Lathril, two, a black, a green. He's got Menace. When he deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. And you can tap him, tap 10 untapped elves you control, and each opponent loses 10 life and you gain 10 life. Absolutely bonkers. So, starting off with a pretty fun combo we're going to add in here. And we are going to hit a Mycosynth Lattice. And I believe this is a Judge promo, but all permanents are artifacts in addition to other types. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless, and players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. Hopefully we're not playing any 5-color decks when this goes off, and we're not helping them out, but if so, so be it. Hopefully when we do get it, we also have Unwinding Clock on the battlefield, because during everybody else's upkeep, well, during their untap step, we're going to untap all artifacts that we control. So, name of the game is let's untap all of our elves that are artifacts and do 10 damage to everybody and gain 10 life every turn once we're able to get this off. As soon as I saw that, I was just like, and they were like right next to each other. I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. Yes, we must do that. So, this is going to be fun. It's really nice because Lathril's ability, it's not a sorcery. We can do it whenever we want to. That's pretty dope. It's going to go really well. So, even though we're not going to go through all of the lands, we will take a look at some of the special lands. So we got Witherbloom Campus. It's going to give us a scry option later in the game. Got Escape Tunnel. We can sacrifice this, search for a basic land, or we can sacrifice it and target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. That actually could be pretty good for early on when we're just trying to get Lathril started out. We've got Dark Moss Bridge, Indestructible. We're not really going to do too much with it, but it is an artifact land. So if we really, really wanted to, we could sacrifice an artifact later on in the game. Terramorphic Expanse. We're going to go search for some lands. We've got Jungle Hollow. We're going to gain 1 life. Evolving Wilds, search for lands. Command Tower. Beautiful, beautiful Dark Boar pathway. So if we need to decide on a swamp or a forest. Path of Ancestry. So add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. This is going to be great if we can get it off early because we are playing elves. So we're going to get to that scry quite a bit. Woodland Cemetery. It's going to enter tapped unless you control a swamp or a forest. Very nice land right there. Grim Backwoods. So we're making a bunch of elves, right? So late game, mid game, 4 mana, we're drawing dead. We could just sacrifice any of those little elf tokens, and we're going to get some card draw. War Room, pay 3, sack, and we could pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity, which is going to be 2. So we're going to pay 2 life, and we're going to draw a card. Moving on, we've got Golgari Signet, so we got a little bit of filter here. Going to work out well for us. There's not a whole lot of ramp in this deck, but I did something a little different that I don't normally do, and that is I actually put in more than 100 cards for Kevin, so he's going to have the option to play around with this a little bit with some of the extra cards that he's been given. In addition to that, and I think this is something I'm going to do going forward, is including those extra cards just to give people a little room to kind of tailor the deck a little bit more. And then as usual, in the description below, I'll link pretty much just kind of some suggestions to what I think could help improve this deck. Cards that I didn't come across, like there's no Rampant Groves, thing like that. There are plenty of elves that are good for ramps, so it might not be a huge deal, but if they do play it and they see, well, wow, he was right, I need some Rampant Groves, I just need some regular mana ramp, things like that, I do have those suggestions posted. So, Wild Onslaught, kicker 4, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. If the spell was kicked, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it on each creature you control instead. That's really freaking good later on. Once we have a bunch of our elves out, we're just going to put +2/+2 on all of them. Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. So that's actually a really nice card, especially if we have all our elves out and they've all got counters on them. That's going to be fantastic. They're all going to get indestructible, so we can save ourselves from a board wipe, and we're going to get some nice card draw from it. Feed the Serpent. So exile target creature or planeswalker. So we got a lot of spot removal in here. Target Shadow, pretty nice here. Gets around that hexproof. Sacrifice is always really nice. Pretty much works the same way as your minus removal spells. So we're gonna make each player sacrifice 2 creatures, which could be pretty good mid game, especially if nobody's really tossing out a lot of token cards. It does also have that full foretell ability, so you can get out of your hand, so you don't have to discard it or anything like that. Does this one have a foretell though? A actual like extra ability for foretell? Because I noticed that some foretell spells, like if you foretold this, you get to do extra. So during your turn, you may pay 2 and exile this card from your hand face down. No, it doesn't. So a little more than normal, but I mean, hey, still nice to get some sacrifice out of there. Boreal Outrider, 2 and a 1. So whenever you cast a creature spell, if snow was spent for any of those colors to cast it, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So obviously we're going to need some snow basics in this deck just to make sure that our elves that we are casting are going to enter with extra +1s on them. Yo, Bloodline Pretender. Okay. So if you're playing any deck, like if you're playing elves, you're playing goblins, I mean this is just a cool card to have in there. Enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and then whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 on it. If you're swinging away with Lathril, I mean, that gets gross pretty quick. Pump Lathril up, let's say he's doing 10 damage. I mean, you're going to get 10 +1 counters on Bloodline Pretender. Goldvein Pick, just a nice little treasure creator. Hopefully we're going to get that on Lathril and make Lathril either unblockable, have flying, and get some extra treasure tokens. Just wouldn't be an elf deck without Reclamation Sage. Just saying. Love the art on this new Foundations print as well. Let's see if we can... Yeah, there we go. Nice focus. It just looks so good. You got like the sword right there, just kind of reclaiming that artifact. Totally destroying it. It's pretty freaking sweet. Overrun. Creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Just nice little full pump there for everybody. Trample to get everybody through. What can you say? Wardens of the Cycle. So, 4-drop. It's 1 black, 2 green. And at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, choose 1. You can gain 2 life or draw a card and you lose 1 life. It's going to be pretty decent on the draw there for you, so you should be able to get that off every turn. You're going to lose 1 life, but you're playing Commander, guys, so don't worry about those 1-lifers. And we should have plenty of elves that we're able to sacrifice 1 off every single turn. Alright, banners. I feel like when we're playing any kind of tribal deck, banners, they just have so much more value. And especially when you have a commander like Lathril, who's going to make so many elves and his objective is to make as many elves possible, it's going to be nice to get all of them pumped up as much as we can. So if you have that static pump there off the banner, it's going to be really nice. So as it enters, choose a color. Creatures you control the chosen color get +1/+0. And then it also has mana, so we can tap it for 1 mana of the chosen color. Can't hate on a banner that offers pump and a little bit of extra utility. Bushwhack. Alright, choose 1. Basic land. Reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. Or make it fight. Target creature, fight other target creature. So we can use our commander, kind of swaps, kill something off. Grow from the ashes. We got a 3-drop with a kicker, so we can go look for a basic land. Or if we kick it, we can do 2 basic lands and put them on the battlefield. A little bit of ramp going on there. Gilt-Leafed Dane. Dwynnen? Dwynnen. The Gilt-Leafed Dane. So it's an elf warrior, 4-drop, has reach, and then other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. And then whenever it attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. I mean, that can really add up. We're playing elves, so A nice little bit of life gain right there. Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. You know, I feel like this card I already put in here, but are they... Do they just do the same thing? No, they do. Inspiring Call. It is in there already. Dang, man. I was like, I feel like I put an extra one in there. Alright. Well, no cheating here, so we're only going to have one Inspiring Call. Broken Wings. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. It's going to be nice, because if we can get flying on our commander, it's actually really like sneaky, because not something you see a lot of, but especially we have decks that are going to have flyers. We can just swipe, get out a flyer real quick, and then let our commander get through. Especially with this ability, we want him to hit as much as possible. Blanchwood Armor. It's going to get +1/+1 for each forest you control. I mean, half the lands are going to be forests, so he should get a nice little pump there. Cannot complain. Easy pump. Snakeskin Veil. This is such a good card, especially for single target protection. We're going to put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and we're going to give it hexproof, so if Lathril doesn't have hexproof yet, we can protect him. Maybe they target something else that we really want to stay on the board. Use it as you will. Hero's Downfall. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. Eaten Alive. We have plenty of elves, guys, so go ahead, sacrifice an elf, or you can pay the additional 4, but it's going to give us that workaround, so if something has indestructible on it, we can get around that, or if it's just really big and can avoid those --. Raise the Draugr. We're playing tribal, so it's gonna be nice. It's gonna return us 2 creature cards from our graveyard to our hand for 2. A lot of easy value there. We can cast that at instant speed on the end of somebody's turn. Elfsworn Giant. Reach, landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. So it's not gonna get us a lot of elves, but it should pump out a few. At least enough that we're going to get some value from it. Alright, camera. Let's go. I know. The foiling sometimes just really throws everything off. There we go. Alright. Llanowar Elves, our basic ramp. Here we go. Thank you. Okay. Llanowar Elves, our little dork, our mana dork. And Hagra Mauling. So, nice little utility here. We can either destroy target creature, and it's going to cost, this spell costs 1 less to cast if an opponent controls no basic lands. That's highly doubtful, but you never know. We can also, if we're in need of that land, we could just throw it onto the battlefield as a land. Shadowheart Dark Justicar. We just saw this as a commander. I actually background this with with the Cultist of the Absolute, but it is an elf. As I was looking at it, I was just like, human elf cleric. Okay. I mean, there's mixed races, so. But he's a legendary creature, human elf cleric, and 2 sack another creature, draw X cards, where that's the creature's power. It's going to be a good draw engine right there for us. We can get rid of any of those elves that are just hanging out, not doing anything. Cultist of the Absolute. So we're going to give our commander flying, Death Touch, and Ward 3. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, we're going to sacrifice a creature. We're not worried about sacrificing a creature, especially if we can get our elf commander in every single turn. We're going to have plenty of extra creatures to sacrifice off. Conqueror's Flail. I actually have not seen this card in such a long time. So, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each color among permanents you control. And then as long as Conqueror's Flail is attached to a creature, your opponents can't cast spells during your turn. That's actually really nice. Yeah, so basically our spells aren't going to get countered during our turn. And in a creature-heavy deck, where we're going to be casting a lot of things at sorcery speed or just during our main phase, it's going to be nice that people aren't going to be able to counter. So, but he's only going to pump up our commander by 2. Not a big deal. We're really going for that other option there. And we've got Guild. So we're going to exile target creature and put a colorless artifact token named Gold onto the battlefield, which basically is just a treasure token. Colossification. I mean, let's just go ahead and give our commander plus 20, and flying, and swing away, kill one person off, make 20 something little elves. Hopefully our commander has menace, and then we can go probably kill somebody else. Gaze of Granite. Destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana costs X or less. So you guys probably, if you've been following along for a while, you know how I feel. You need at least one board wipe, even if it's going to kill everything in your field too. I mean, if you have a pretty clear board, or even if you make Lathril have indestructible, kill everything off except for Lathril, swing away, and just restart rebuilding there. So he has a very easy way to refill your board, not a huge deal. And actually, something that I really like here, let's see if we can go pull this real quick. It's a Smokestack. This is such an evil card. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a soot counter on Smokestack. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent for each soot counter on Smokestack. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to put as many Smokestacks counters as we can until it equals or is just underneath Lathril's power, and then we're going to make everybody sacrifice permanents, and then we'll just make sure that we can attack with Lathril and get that many elves, and then when it's our turn to sacrifice, we're just going to sacrifice all those tokens that we've created during combat. It is an absolutely awful card for this deck, but it's actually a really good card for this deck. Oh, so it's so cruel. So that's actually a really fun one. I like Smokestack. Alright, Driven. So, sorcery, until end of turn, creatures you control gain trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That is massive. So, especially if we put something in here that's going to make our creatures that are under 2 power unblockable, like that's just going to be such value. Despair. It has Aftermath, so until end of turn, creatures you control gain menace, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card. Another gross effect there, so Aftermath, this must be in your graveyard, and then you're going to exile it after you cast it. So you get a 2 for there. This is how every split card should actually be a split card. I just hate all those split cards that you can only cast one part of it, and you have to decide. Like, let us have Aftermath on every split card. It's just so good. Alright, we have Gwynna, Eyes of Gaia, or Gaia. Or Gia. Which one is it? You guys tell me. So we're going to add 2 mana in a combination of colors. We can spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creature or creature card. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, put +1/+1 counter on Gwynna, Eyes of Gaia, and untap it. So unfortunately, there are not a lot of creatures in here. This is really just going to be a nice little mana source to even us out in case we do need those 2 manas in combination. It's also an elf. She is going to get a little bit of pump. So this is one of those, just basically a mana dork. Alright, Gix's Command. I love this card. When this thing was in standard, this was such a good card in my opinion. So you're going to choose 2. You're going to put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 creature. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Most likely that's going to be one of the one that we're going to choose. And then we can return up to 2 creature cards from our graveyard to our hand, or each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control. A lot of times that's going to be that commander, so that could really be a good use of this card, where we're going to make each opponent sacrifice their commander. Fauna Shaman. Alright, discard a creature card. Let's go search our library for a creature card, reveal it, and put it into our hand, then shuffle. So basically, if we need to go search our deck, so if you decide to make any adjustments to the deck, you have some combo creatures that you want to put in here, this is a great card to basically to go fetch whatever you need. Titania's Command. Oh man. Choose 2. Alright, so I got a feeling we're going to put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature we control. That would be great. And then we can also clear out our deck a little bit. And search our library for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. Or we can exile target player's graveyard and gain 1 life for each card exiled this way. So if you have somebody like really super dangerous who's playing a Lathril in their graveyard. We just need to get everything out of there. Fantastic. I doubt in this deck we're going to use that create two green bear creature tokens, but hey, elves and bears, why not? Deathbloom Ritualist. So add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Honestly, this could be really gross late game. We're not playing a whole lot of mill, but if we do, like, if the game comes down to it, we do have a lot of creature cards. So if we have a ton of creatures in our graveyard, but we have a lot of ability to draw in this deck, so late game we can end up adding, like, I don't know, 20 mana, and then just continue to play cards from the top of our deck or draw a ton of cards, and it's fantastic. So no hate there. Definitely a later game where we just want to get as many cards as we can, play, and finish off. Nightshade Harvester. Nice little 4-drop here. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under opponent's control, the player loses 1 life, and we're going to put a +1/+1 counter. It's an elf shaman. Works fantastic, so every time somebody plays a land, they're losing 1 life. We're going to get a 1/1 counter. So if we get this in early, by the time it comes back around to us, we've got a 5/5 after 1 turn. Probably then the next turn we're going to have an 8/8, and so on and so on. Alright, Sat's Will. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both. So another one, guys. That commander is probably going to be the thing with the greatest power, unless you're playing somebody who's playing, you know, a defender deck, I guess. So you never know. Sometimes it happens. But we can also exile our cards from all opponents' graveyards and create X01 Lathril creature tokens, where X is the greatest power among creature cards exiled this way. Hopefully we hit something crazy like a 2020 Eldrazi and just get to make 20 thralls. It wouldn't be an elf deck without Gala Greeters. Alright, so whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Hopefully we can get all 3 of those off every single turn. If so, we're going to make Gala get pumped up pretty quickly. We're going to create treasure tokens every turn, and we're going to gain life every turn. There's just so much value out of this card, considering we're playing a token generation deck. Ugh, it's so hard not to put it in here. Cage Sun. Enters the battlefield, choose a color. So we have a very high costing Anthem here, but creatures of the chosen color are going to get +1/+1. Now, we're obviously going to pick green because Lathril is going to create green elf warrior creature tokens. And I think just about every single elf is green-black at least, but the majority are green. So that's really going to work in our favor. And then whenever a land's ability causes you to add 1 or more mana of the chosen color, you're going to add 1 additional mana of that color. Absolutely fantastic. Late game, we're going to get a ton of mana, so we're going to be able to put all that mana to use and just keep casting all those creature spells that we keep drawing. Beastcaller Savant. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. Well, we have a lot of elves. If you guys haven't seen yet, we have a ton of elves. Bounty of Might. Hopefully we're going to give Lathril +9/+9 swing with him. And at this point, I mean, it's a 6 mana. So hopefully that's lethal for somebody. And we're going to get to create at least 11 more elves. Damnable Pack. We're going to sacrifice some life, and we're going to draw some cards. Bounty of Skimfar. We're going to reveal 6 cards from the top of our library. Play a land from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and an elf card from among them into our hand. So we're playing all elves. We should be able to hit an elf and a land in our top 6. Threats Undetected. Search your library for up to 4 creature cards with different powers and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of them and shuffles the chosen cards into your library and puts the rest into your hand. Let's go fetch some creature cards. Whew. Man, there's so many elves in this deck. I wonder how many elves we got. Alright, so Viridian Zealot. We can pay 2, sacrifice him, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Pretty nice there, especially if we can recur him. We've got Tyvar the Pummeler. He gains, so we can tap another untapped creature we control, and he gains indestructible until end of turn. So, which is pretty good. because we're going to pay 5, and creatures you control are going to get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So if we've had our commander out for most of the game, and we've been pumping him up, it's going to be really nice to have Tyvar out, because Tyvar is going to have indestructible. We're probably going to be able to protect our commander with indestructible, hexproof, things like that. So we're just going to pump up all of our creatures for +X/+X, equal to our commander's power. Hopefully, I mean, hopefully that's something really gross, and we're going to have like 20 elves swinging for 20/20 plus. Leaf Crown Visionary. I mean, other elves are going to get +1/+1, and then whenever you cast an elf spell, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. It's going to get ridiculous. I mean, if you're dropping 20 plus mana in a turn, paying this, I mean, you can cast 5 spells, a lot of relatively low costing spells in this deck, and you can just keep paying that mana and get a ton of value out of this card. Defiler of Vigor. Defiler of Vigor just makes it even worse, because instead we can just pay the 2 life, right? So this spell costs 1 less to cast if you pay life this way. The mana reduces only the amount of green mana you pay, so obviously we can't go down to 0, but I mean, paying 2 life, you're basically giving up a 1 mana, saving yourself a mana to keep casting other spells, and then whenever you cast a green permanent spell, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That is the only reason he's in this. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, you're going to get value out of your life, which there's plenty of life gain in here. You're going to get +1/+1s onto your creatures, so if you have a ton of elves out on the battlefield, tons of +1s. There aren't a whole lot of non-elf creatures in this deck, and the ones that are in here have quite a bit of synergy and utility for it. So here we go. Marvin, the Murderous Mimic. So he has all activated abilities of creatures you control that don't have the same name as this creature. I think you guys see where this is going. I mean, we're going to make Lathril. We're going to make him use Lathril's ability and hopefully tap untapped elves. If we can do this twice in a turn and we're able to untap all of our creatures because they're artifacts, that's just going to be sick. So we're going to make people lose 20 life every single turn. That is the ultimate goal. Or we only need to do it twice, because whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Oh, that's going to be pretty gross right there. Elder of Laurels. Oh, that's right. Innistrad's getting reprinted soon. Innistrad Innistrad? Is that coming at the beginning of the year? So target creature gets +X/+X until in a turn where X is the number of creatures you control. Oh, geez. How many times can you do this in one turn? I think that's the question. Comment below. How many times do you plan on doing this in one turn? Convert to Slime. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target enchantment. Then if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, create an XX green ooze creature token where X is total mana value of permanents destroyed this way. I mean, it's just such a good card. It's got removal. It's got 3 removals, so artifact, creature, and enchantment. And you're going to get a creature, so if you're able to do all 3 and you already have Delirium, I mean, you're going to get a pumped up, probably, I would say a minimum, like most times, at least a 10/10. So you're going to get a nice, decent-sized creature token that's kind of a threat on the board that people are going to want to get rid of. Moonlight Bargain. Look at the top 5 of your cards of your library. For each card, put that card into your graveyard unless you pay 2 life, and then put the rest in your hand. So really, we're going to trade 10 life for 5 cards. So not bad. Decent draw right there. I think anything more than 2 life starts to become pretty... I don't know if it's going to be cost efficient. It really depends on the deck and how much life gain you have in the deck. But you can at least, if you don't need some of the cards, like let's say you have a Llanowar Elves in your late game, you can be like, yeah, sorry Llanowar Elves, you're going to the graveyard. Cultivator of Blades. So nice card here. I think when this was in Standard, I tried to make a deck that ran 4 of for this just because. It just has such a fun little ability right there. I was always thinking about giving this thing Myriad and just going off. I don't know. It was just a fun little concept back then. I also gotta say I wasn't very good at Magic when I first started, probably like everybody else. So, yeah, I didn't know too much. But Fabricate 2, you can put 2 +1/+1 counters on him, which is what we're going to do. We're going to make him a 3/3. And then when he attacks, you can have other attacking creatures get +X/+X until end of turn, where that's its power. So if we have a bunch of anthems out on the board, and we end up giving him, I don't know, let's say 6/6, I mean, we can make him attack and give everything else 6/6. Absolutely fantastic way to pump up our creatures. Alright, Storev. Dude, look at him just chilling with that worm back there. That zombie worm. He's like, that's my bitch. Oh, man. Can we say things like that? Alright, we've got a zombie elf wizard, and when he deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, return to your hand target creature or planeswalker card in your graveyard that wasn't put there this combat. So, fantastic. We can go pick back some of the creatures that are in the graveyard that have been board wiped or single target killed throughout the game. Really, really nice recurring card right here. It's going to give us a lot of power, a lot of value. Hunter's Prowess. Until in a turn, target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw that many cards. That's, yeah, good card. Good value right there for 5 mana. We've got our Commander Sphere. Of course, Swiftfoot Boots. Ruinous Path. We're going to destroy target creature or planeswalker. Come back wrong. Destroy target creature. If a creature is put into a graveyard this way, return it to the battlefield under your control. Sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. I mean, if it has a really good ETB, it's actually going to be really nice. Usually what I'm aiming for with Come Back Wrong is to hit somebody else's ETB. Suspend Sentence. Destroy target creature and opponent controls. That player loses 3 life. Exile with 3 suspend counters on it. So basically, we're going to get to recast that after its time counters are up. It's actually kind of cool. Ruthless Winnower. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-elf creature. Fantastic elf rogue right here. Like, come on, man. We're playing all elves, so pretty much we should not have to sacrifice a creature. Into the Pit. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast spells from the top of your library by sacrificing an online permanent in addition to their other costs. This is a great card for any token generator deck, honestly. It almost reminds me of, what is that, Bolas's Citadel, except we're not paying life to cast. This is an early 3-drop version, and I absolutely love Bolas Citadel. I play that deck. I play that in almost all my black decks so much, like it's pretty old at this point, but it's such a good combo card. Last but not least, we have Aid from the Cow. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. Aid from the Cow is such a good card, especially if you're just sacrificing off different creatures and you have a bunch of tokens. I mean, such value right there. So, anyways, that is the deck, guys. I hope that you guys see some exciting things there. I would say highlights for me, like things that are really excited to put in this deck. The Smokestack, 100%. The Mycosynth Lattice and the Unwinding Clock. Some things you could probably look for to add into this deck. Maybe a little ramp, some more, I would say some more indestructible, some artifacts would probably be good, some equipment that give indestructible or hexproof, maybe even some flying, the ability to put flying so Lathril has more ways to get through, or make him unblockable in most cases would be great, but you could go get some artifact, or yeah, we need some artifact search, so find some ways to basically get artifacts from our library onto the battlefield. Outside of that, I mean, deck's pretty straightforward. We're just going to make a bunch of elf warrior tokens and tap them to make people lose 10 life and gain 10 life, which is sick. So, hope you guys enjoyed the deck. If you guys enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe, like, all the above. Message me on Patreon, join the Patreon page, and if you want a deck built as well, you can always just email me directly. Until next time.